What if the thing standing between you and the life you actually want isn't time, isn't money, isn't talent? What if it's something much smaller than that? What if it's just the fact that nobody ever showed you how to take a big, burning wish inside your chest and turn it into something you can actually touch on a Tuesday afternoon?
That question stopped me cold when I first really thought about it. Because I'd been doing it wrong for years. I had dreams, big ones, but I was carrying them around like trophies I'd already won instead of seeds I needed to plant.
And today, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Not in a motivational poster kind of way, not in a here are 5 steps to your best life kind of way. We're going to sit with this honestly, talk about what dreams actually are, why goals are different, and what nobody tells you about the space between the two.
I'm David.
And I'm Sarah. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time with us, we're really glad you found us. And if you've been here before, you already know what we're about. Real conversations, clear English, things that actually matter.
And today, this one matters a lot.
Here's what you're going to walk away with by the end of this episode. You're going to understand the actual difference between a dream and a goal, because most people blur them together, and that's the first place things fall apart. You're going to have a way to protect your focus when life gets loud, which it always does. And you're going to have something concrete, one small action you can take before today is over.
We're also going to talk about something that doesn't get enough airtime. What happens when your own mind becomes the thing working against your dream? Because sometimes the doubt isn't coming from the people around you, it's coming from inside the house.
So settle in. This is going to be worth your time. And we'll keep the language clear and grounded, so if you're building your English alongside everything else right now, you're in the right place.
Let me ask you something. When you were a kid, and I mean really young, before anyone told you what was realistic, what did you want to be?
Oh, I had a list, a very dramatic list. I was going to be a singer with a massive stage, lights everywhere, crowds singing my songs back to me, the whole spectacle.
And what actually happened?
I had a bedroom mirror, 2 houseplants, and a chair that I'm fairly certain developed a stress disorder from all the concerts I forced it to attend.
See, I wanted to be a professional footballer. A real stadium, thousands of people chanting my name. And I had a muddy school field, a friend who kept yelling, "David, wrong direction," and at least 3 separate incidents of tripping over my own feet in front of everyone I wanted to impress.
So not exactly the highlight reel.
Not even close. But here's the thing. Those ridiculous childhood fantasies, they were doing something important. They were teaching us to want. They were firing something up in us. The specific dream wasn't the point. The feeling behind it was.
That feeling, that pull towards something more, something bigger than your current reality, that's what we're talking about today.
And the interesting question isn't whether your childhood dream came true. The interesting question is, what's the dream you're carrying right now? And what are you actually doing with it?
Let's slow down here, because this is where I see a lot of people get stuck. And it's worth being really precise about it. A dream and a goal are not the same thing. People use those words interchangeably, and that's part of why progress feels so slippery. So let's separate them clearly.
A dream is the big picture. It's what your life looks like when everything is working. It lives in the future. It has this warm, expansive feeling to it. It's the what you want your life to become.
A goal is completely different. A goal is operational. It's specific. It exists in the present tense. It has a day on the calendar, an action attached to it, and something you can actually measure. A goal is the how, the practical step you take today toward the picture you're holding in your mind.
So if your dream is speaking English confidently, really flowing in a conversation, not searching for words, not shrinking back in meetings or at airports or wherever English matters to you, then your goal isn't get better at English. That's still a dream dressed up as a goal.
Right. A real goal sounds like this. Every morning at 7, for 15 minutes before I open anything else on my phone, I practice speaking aloud. I describe what I see. I tell a story. I talk through my day in English. That's a goal. It has a time, it has a behavior, it's repeatable.
The dream gives you the direction, the goal gives you the motion. And you need both, because a dream without a goal is just a beautiful wish that floats around and never lands. And a goal without a dream is just a task. You might complete it, but you won't know why it matters.
Think of it like this. A dream is the destination city. A goal is putting on your shoes and walking out the front door. You don't get to the city by just staring at the map.
You have to actually leave the house.
I want to share something real here, because I think examples land better than explanations. One of my genuine dreams, and I don't talk about this constantly because it still feels a little tender and new, is to have a slower life. I know that sounds vague, so let me paint it more specifically. I want a small house. Not impressive, not on anyone's vision board of luxury, just mine, with a garden, a table outside where I can sit in the morning with tea, no traffic noise, a tree that's older than my problems, and maybe, this is the detail I love most, I want to record this podcast there someday, with actual birdsong in the background.
I know that dream. You've mentioned the birds before.
Because the birds matter. But here's the honest part. Right now, I live in a flat in a busy part of a city. The only birds near me are pigeons who seem personally offended by my existence.
Real birds versus aggressive urban birds. The gap is wide.
The gap is wide. So what do I do with this dream? I could just keep imagining it, put a nice photo somewhere and feel a vague longing. Or I can ask myself, what can I actually do right now? And the answer I came to has two parts. One, every month I move a fixed amount of money into an account I've labeled the Garden House. It's not much, but I treat it as non-negotiable. It's as real as a bill. I pay it every month without negotiation. Two, every week, at least once, I go and sit somewhere green, a park, a quiet courtyard, somewhere I can hear the wind. Not because it's the dream, but because it's a small rehearsal for it.
You're living tiny pieces of the dream while the full version is still in progress.
Exactly. And that's the psychological key I didn't expect. When you do small things that feel like your dream, your brain doesn't experience this endless painful gap between where you are and where you want to be. You're not waiting, you're practicing.
My turn. And my dream is professional, which feels a little vulnerable to say out loud because it's still being built. I want to create a course, a real, thoughtful course, specifically for English learners who are quiet. Not because they don't have things to say, but because somewhere along the way somebody made them feel like they weren't quite good enough to speak up. I know that experience intimately, and I want to build something that specifically dismantles it.
That's a meaningful thing to want to build.
It is, but it's also very large in my head. When I think about it in full, it feels a little paralyzing for me. There's so much, the structure, the exercises, the language levels, the recordings. It feels enormous.
So what did you do?
I shrunk it. I gave myself one rule: 15 minutes on weekdays. That's it. 15 minutes where I open the document and I work on something. Could be writing one example sentence. Could be rethinking one lesson structure. Could be reading research. I don't require a breakthrough. I just require 15 minutes of honest engagement.
And does it add up?
It adds up slowly, but here's what surprised me. The days I sit down for 15 minutes, I almost always go longer. Not because I force myself, but because once you're in it, the work pulls you. The 15 minutes is just the door. You have to open the door yourself. The room takes care of the rest.
I love that. The 15 minutes is the door. So your dream is a course for quiet learners. Your goal is to open that door every weekday.
Big dream, small door, every day.
So now we have our dreams, we have our goals. We've attached a small daily action to each one, and then life happens.
Life always happens.
The sofa calls. The notifications pile up. Your energy at 8 p.m. looks absolutely nothing like your energy at 8 a.m. when you set your intentions. And suddenly, 2 weeks go by and you haven't touched your dream at all.
I know this cycle. I've lived this cycle.
We all have. So let's talk about the actual mechanics of staying focused. Not the inspirational version, but the practical version.
The first thing that made a real difference for me was something almost embarrassingly simple. I stopped trying to chase multiple dreams at the same time. I used to have this long internal list. English, fitness, finances, creative projects, learning something new, being a better friend, reading more books. And because everything felt equally important, nothing actually moved.
Your attention was like water poured on a table instead of into a glass.
That's exactly it, spreading everywhere and collecting nowhere. So now I operate seasonally. I pick one main thing for a defined window, maybe 3 months, maybe 6, just one. And everything else gets acknowledged but temporarily set aside. They're still there, they're not abandoned, they're just not driving right now.
This season, for you, what is it?
The course. Everything else is in the passenger seat.
And when you only have one thing driving, you'd be surprised how much faster you actually move. Not because you're working harder, but because your energy isn't fragmenting across 12 different ambitions at once.
The second thing, and this one sounds small, but the effect is enormous, is to anchor your daily action to a specific moment in your day. Not sometime today I'll work on my course. Sometime today is how dreams die quietly.
Sometime is optimism that never checks its calendar.
Exactly. Sometime has never once shown up when I needed it. But after my second coffee, before I open email, that shows up. Because it's a habit chain. Your brain knows the sequence. Coffee ends, course begins. You remove the decision-making from the equation.
And when you remove the decision, you remove the resistance. Because a lot of what feels like laziness or lack of motivation is actually just decision fatigue in disguise.
The third piece is what I call protecting your attention. And this is where I want to be really honest, because I struggle here. When it's time to do my 15 minutes, my phone is my biggest opponent. Not because I'm addicted to it in some dramatic way, but because it's always right there, and it's always offering something mildly interesting, and mildly interesting is incredibly effective at derailing a mind that's trying to do something hard.
The phone is the architect of just 1 minute situations.
And just 1 minute is never 1 minute. So what I started doing is making my work time slightly ceremonial. Phone in another room, one specific notebook open, a cup of something warm, sometimes different physical location entirely, a corner of a library, a specific table at a cafe. Your environment is constantly sending your brain messages. Arrange it so those messages say, it's time to focus, rather than, you could be doing literally anything else right now.
Even just changing chairs in my own flat makes a difference. My brain starts making associations. That chair means thinking work. That one means actual effort.
Your brain is trainable. It just needs repeated signals.
And on the days where even all of that isn't enough, on the genuinely depleted days, there's one more tool. Reconnect to your why. Not in a performance way, not for Instagram, just privately, honestly. Sit with the real reason this dream matters to you.
For English, your why might be, I want to walk into a job interview and feel like myself. I want to travel and not feel like a child who can't ask for what they need. I want to talk to my international colleagues and be fully present, not just hoping they don't ask me a follow-up question.
Those whys are visceral. And when you write them down and put them somewhere visible, they do something on hard days that motivation podcasts can't do. They remind you that this isn't abstract self-improvement, it's actually your real life on the line.
Okay, I want to shift the conversation here because we've been talking about the practical side, habits, anchors, focus, environment, and those things are real and useful, but there's a layer underneath all of it that doesn't get enough attention.
What happens when your own mind becomes the obstacle?
Yes, when you're not fighting distraction or bad habits, when you're fighting something quieter and more personal. The voice that says, "Who do you think you are? You've tried this before. You're already behind. It's too late. Other people are already doing it better."
I know that voice.
That voice is not honest. It's not giving you accurate information. It's giving you fear dressed up as facts. And the problem is, it sounds so reasonable. It uses your own evidence against you. Remember the last time you tried? Remember how that ended?
It's curating your failures and ignoring your progress.
Exactly. And the answer isn't to argue with it directly, because you can't logic your way out of a feeling. The answer is to take an action, even a small one, that contradicts it, because action produces evidence, and new evidence is the only thing that genuinely shifts a narrative.
So on the days the voice is loud, you don't ask yourself, am I capable of this entire dream? That question is too big and the doubt is too ready with an answer.
You ask something much smaller. What can I do in the next 10 minutes that's in the direction of this dream? Just 10 minutes. Just today. Just right now.
Because 10 minutes can't answer the question, am I enough for this? But it can answer a different question. Do I still care? And if you do the 10 minutes, you've answered that. You care. And that's all you need to know right now.
There's also the external version of this. People in your life who, when you share your dream, respond in a way that deflates you. Not always cruelly. Sometimes it's just a raised eyebrow. Are you sure that's realistic? A subtle but unmistakable atmosphere of doubt.
And that's painful in a different way because you didn't expect it from them.
It is. But here's something I had to learn. When someone responds to your dream with fear or skepticism, they are almost never telling you something true about your capability. They are almost always telling you something true about their relationship with risk. People who haven't followed their own dreams often can't emotionally afford to watch someone else pursue theirs. It disturbs something in them.
So they try to keep you on the sofa with them, because if you climb the mountain, they have to face the fact that they chose not to.
And you don't have to accept that as your reality. You can be kind about it, you can understand where it comes from, but you don't have to let it redirect your life.
Share your dreams selectively. Not everyone has earned the right to hold something that tender. Some people you give the full version to, some people you give the edited version. And some people, with love, you give nothing because their response costs more than it's worth.
Here's the thing I think we don't say enough, and it's maybe the most important thing in this entire conversation. Your dream is not a deadline.
Say that again slowly.
Your dream is not a deadline. It's a direction. There's this pressure, and I feel it too, that says if you don't achieve the dream by a certain point, you failed. You're behind. You missed the window. You should have started earlier, worked harder, been smarter about it.
And that pressure is not motivating. It's paralyzing.
It makes the dream feel like a test you're already failing instead of a path you're actually walking. And that framing, deadline versus direction, changes everything.
A compass doesn't shout at you for not arriving yet. It just quietly points and says, this way.
That's all a dream has to do. It doesn't have to be achieved this year. It doesn't have to look exactly the way you imagined. It just has to pull you forward, through the seasons where you're tired, through the months that feel stuck, through the years that ask more from you than you expected to give.
And here's the practical implication of that. If your dream is a direction and not a deadline, then rest is not failure. Rest is part of a long journey. You can stop, breathe, reassess, sit down for a while, as long as when you stand back up, your face is still turned toward that horizon.
You don't need to be running, you just need to be facing the right direction.
And even that, even just staying oriented when everything around you is pulling you sideways, that takes real courage. That deserves more recognition than it usually gets.
Let's sit with this for a second before we move on. Think about the dream you're carrying right now, not the one you've already given up on, the one that's still alive in you, maybe quietly, maybe a little bruised, but still there, still present when you wake up at 3 a.m, or when you see someone else doing something that reminds you of it.
What is that dream telling you about the life you actually want? Not the life you think you're supposed to want. Not the life that would make the right people proud, or the right amount of money, or the right amount of sense on paper. The life that actually fits the person you are when nobody's watching.
Because here's the thing about dreams that come from that honest place. They don't really go away. You can ignore them, you can bury them under practicality and busyness and I'll do it later, but they tend to resurface, quietly, persistently, like something alive that refuses to stop.
And I think that persistence, that refusal to be completely abandoned, is your dream trying to tell you something. It's not being dramatic, it's being honest. It's saying, this matters to you. This is part of who you are. Please don't walk away from it completely.
You don't have to sprint toward it today, but maybe you can stop running away from it.
Ask yourself this. If my dream is a direction and not a deadline, what's one gentle step I could take this week? Not a heroic step, not a I'm finally going to overhaul my entire life step, just one gentle, honest step in that direction.
Write that step down somewhere, even on the back of a receipt, even in a voice note to yourself. Give it a physical form, because things that only live in your head tend to stay there. Before we wrap up, let's spend a few minutes on language because we dropped some words throughout this conversation that are worth sitting with properly.
Let's start with priority. A priority is the thing that comes first, the item that gets your time and energy before other things compete for it. Not because everything else is unimportant, but because in this season, this one thing is most important.
You might say, for the next 3 months, improving my spoken English is my priority, meaning it goes first. Other things work around it.
Then we talked about distractions. A distraction is anything that pulls your attention away from what you've decided actually matters. Your phone is a distraction when you're trying to read. Noise in your environment is a distraction when you're trying to think. They're not inherently bad. They're just pulling in a different direction than the one you chose.
We also used the word consistent. Consistent means you do something repeatedly, regularly, over time. Not once, not when you feel like it, again and again. Being consistent with a small action is worth more than an occasional burst of intense effort. A slow drip fills a container faster than one dramatic pour that overflows and disappears.
Then loyalty. Loyalty is usually a word we use for people, but I love applying it to dreams. Loyalty to a dream means you stay with it even when it's hard, even when results are invisible, even when doubt shows up. You don't abandon it because circumstances got complicated. That's sustained commitment. That's what loyalty looks like when directed inward.
We talked about mindset. Your mindset is the fundamental lens through which you interpret your experiences. It's the difference between looking at a mistake and seeing evidence that you're not good enough, versus looking at the same mistake and seeing information about what to adjust next time. Same event, completely different mindset, completely different emotional outcome.
And discouraged. To feel discouraged is to lose the energy that was pushing you forward. You feel flat, low. The gap between where you are and where you want to be suddenly feels too wide to cross. Discouragement is real. It's not weakness. It's just information. Information that says, I need rest or support or a different angle. Not information that says, give up.
And finally, tempted. To be tempted is to feel a strong pull towards something that you know isn't actually what you want to choose. You're tempted to scroll instead of practice. You're tempted to say tomorrow instead of today. The temptation is real, the feeling is genuine, but you still have a say in what you do with it.
If any of those words felt new, try using one of them in a sentence today. Say it out loud. Write it somewhere. Language sticks when you interact with it, not just observe it.
All right, let's land this.
Dreams are big. They're yours. They matter.
Goals are small. They're daily. They're the bridge.
Staying focused requires choosing one main thing, anchoring it to a specific time and protecting your attention like it's something genuinely valuable, because it is.
And when doubt comes, from inside or outside, you don't fight it with arguments. You answer it with action. Small, honest, consistent action.
Your dream is not a deadline. It's a direction. And your job is not to arrive perfectly and on schedule. Your job is to keep facing it. Keep moving, even slowly. Come back when you've strayed. Rest when you need to, but don't go so far that you can no longer see where you were headed.
You don't need to be a different person to deserve the life in your dream. You just need to be the version of yourself who keeps showing up.
Even on the unremarkable Tuesdays, even when no one's watching, even when progress is invisible to everyone but you.
Especially then, because that's when the real work happens. Not in the highlight moments, in the quiet, ordinary, nobody-sees-it moments of choosing your dream over the easier thing.
That's the whole game.
Before you go, just one thing. Think of one step, not a plan, not a resolution. Just one specific thing you can do before today is over that points you in the direction of something you genuinely want.
Maybe you write it down. Maybe you tell someone. Maybe you do it right now while the feeling is still here.
And if you want to share it, we'd love to hear it. Tell us who you are, where you're listening from, and what that one step is. Your comment helps more than you might think. It reminds someone else that they're not in this alone.
Because none of us are doing this in a vacuum. We're all carrying something. We're all walking towards something. And knowing that other people are in motion too, that matters.
Thank you for being here today. Really, this kind of conversation only works when someone chooses to show up for it. And you did.
Keep your dream as your direction. Keep your goals small and honest. Keep coming back to the work, to yourself, to whatever it is that makes this life feel like yours.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We'll see you next time.
Take care of yourself and take care of your dream. It's worth it.